Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk about my favourite board games of the decade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from 2010 and go up to 2019, and for each year I'm going to give my favourite strategy game and my favourite family weight board game. So let's get started at 2010. So at 2010, my family weight game of the year is Seven Wonders. Now Seven Wonders had a huge impact on the board game industry, had tremendous success and sold a ton of copies, and it's still doing well to this day. It's a civilization building game where it basically revolves around card drafting. So you're going to have a hand of cards with different sciences or military or different kind of buildings and stuff. And you're going to draft one of those cards and then pass the rest of the cards to the player to your left or right. So the cool thing about this game was that it doesn't matter what the player count was, it would still take around the same amount of time because everybody is playing simultaneously. It really did bring card drafting to the forefront of gaming mechanisms, and it's held up really well, and it's just a really solid game. That is Seven Wonders. My strategy game of the year for 2010 is Tois. Now, Tois is a pretty strange looking game. It has this very medieval theme to it. But you are basically have a pool of dice, and then you're going to collect those dice together to use different actions, such as building the cathedral, or you can fight off these different kind of marauders and stuff that are attacking Tois. But the cool thing about this game is that not only did you kind of have your own pool of dice, you could buy dice off other people without their permission. So there was this real kind of great player interaction with it. It's held up really well, tremendous fun, and I just absolutely adore this game. That is Tois. So for 2011, my family weight board game of the year is the Lord of the Rings, the card game. Obviously if you love Lord of the Rings, this is a great game where you are working cooperatively with your friends. Probably plays best at 1 or 2 players, to be honest, but it does work perfectly fine at 3 or 4. And you're using your heroes and their kind of, their allies and their weapons and stuff in this deck of cards to overcome these different obstacles, fight monsters. There's a ton of different missions and stuff you can do, a ton of characters, just thousands of cards, and it's just a really great cooperative game. It's very difficult, but again, if you especially love the Lord of the Rings theme, this is one to definitely sink your teeth into. That is Lord of the Rings, the card game. My 2011 strategy game of the year was Trajan. Trajan is still one of my favourite games of all time in this day. It's a game by Stefan Feld where you have this mancala with these different bowls with different tokens in, and you're basically moving them around, moving these different colours into these different bowls which decide your action. There's basically the main board consists of all these different mini games which synergize with each other, and you're trying to get points in a variety of different ways. It really is a true point salad style game that no matter whatever you do, you get a bunch of points. But the thought and the strategy and the kind of the four planning you can put into this game is tremendous, great fun, and it just really does reward strategic play. That is Trajan. For 2012, my family weight game of the year is Marvel Legendary. Again, this kind of helps because I really do like Marvel Comics, but this is a deck building game, and it's still my favourite deck building game, where you have, and it's cooperative as well, so again, you're working together. Where you have all these different heroes. You're using these hero cards to buy more expensive and more powerful hero cards to overcome these different schemes led by a mastermind. The cool thing about this game is there is literally every Marvel character under the sun you can play with against any villain, any mastermind, doing a whole loads of different schemes. So the variability is literally infinite in this game. It is absolutely tremendous fun. And again, if you especially like Marvel Comics, this one is just gonna absolutely float your boat. That is Marvel Legendary. My 2012 strategy game of the year is Soakin, the Mayan calendar. Now this game is a worker placement game based on these kind of South American ancient Mayan kind of theme. You are placing your workers onto these different cogs on this board, and when you place them onto these cogs or gears, the longer you leave them on them, the wheel's going to spin, and they're going to get more powerful bonuses the longer you leave them on there. But the cool thing about the game is you can really plan on when to put your workers onto these wheels and when to take them off of the wheels, and really do synergize well together. Again, another game that really does reward forward planning. It looks great, it's got a completely unique feel to anything else, and it does take that worker placement genre to the whole next level, and again, it still just holds up tremendously well. That is Soakin, the Mayan calendar. My 2013 family game of the year is Makoti. Now this is a strictly two-player game. It's a tug-of-war style game where you have 4 actions and you're going to use those actions to the best of your ability to put cards on your side of the board and win the favour of these different geisha girls. It's probably one of the most nuanced games that I've played. It really does punish mistakes badly, but rewards clever play. It has this very interesting I split you choose mechanism where you present cards to your opponent, they pick what they want, and you get the remainder of those cards. Again, it's one of those games that really do, every decision in the game just feels absolutely agonizing because you've got to really keep a poker face on and make sure your opponent does what you want them to do. That is Makoti, an excellent two-player game. My 2013 strategy game of the year is Concordia. Concordia is a very pleasant game where you are traveling around these different maps, trying to put these different trade houses down. The player interaction is extremely interesting in this game because basically when you activate these different regions to get your resources, not only do you activate it for you, you activate it for everybody else in that region as well. Also, as you place these trade houses down, they get more expensive to place down for other players. It uses this great card system where you have a hand of cards to use different actions, but the more you go through, the more you're rewarded because one card you play at the end to pick all your cards back up, the more cards you play, the more money you get. Extremely well balanced game, just elegant to the T, and just pretty much one of the most well-rounded Euro games that I have. Just a tremendous game. And number 2014, my family weight game of the year is Patchwork. This is another two-player only game. This one is a bit lighter than the other games, but it uses these Tetris-shaped cardboard tiles, and you are using them to basically fill up your board. The more empty spaces you have at the end of the game is going to cost you negative points. But it also has this very cool button economy mechanism, where as you navigate around this board, you're going to trigger these different button spots and get buttons relating to how many buttons you've got on your different tiles on the board. So you've got to weigh up about how many tiles or how many spaces on your board you're going to cover up with these tiles, but also how many buttons you're going to take in as well, because that's going to be what you're going to use to buy future tiles. Very streamlined, tremendous fun, and this really is a family weight game. You can play this one with just about anybody in about 20 minutes. So a really pleasant game, that is Patchwork. My 2014 strategy game of the year is Ollie On. Now, Ollie On is a bag building game where you have these different tokens and you're going to put them in this bag and you're going to draw them out, which is going to dictate the actions you can do. But the more actions you can do, you can really build your engine up and you can focus on different strategies to either draw more tokens from your bag or make actions cheaper to use or go up these different tracks. You're traveling around France as well, trying to collect these different goods, all to get points. Really good fun, has this great kind of worker placement mechanism to it as well. Great kind of, as I said, the engine building's really good, the bag building's really good because, there's still that luck element of what you're going to draw from the bag, but you can really kind of streamline it and try to cater to your needs. A really solid game, Ollie On. 2015 was a great year. For my family weight game of the year, I've got Arboretum. Now, Arboretum is a pretty nasty little card game where you have these different trees. You're trying to play these trees in front of you in a tableau to make these different routes to try and get points. But the cool thing about this, you're only going to get points for certain trees if you have the most of that type of tree in your hand at the end of the game. So if you know your opponent is particularly got loads of trees of a certain type in front of him on his tableau, you can store some of those trees in your hand. And if you have the most of those trees at the end, then your opponent is not going to score at all for those trees that he's been focusing on. So it's got really cool player interaction. It's just a very kind of, as I said, a very mean game, but also a very meaty, intelligent game. That is Arboretum. My strategy game of the year is Grand Austria Hotel. This one is a lovely game where you are trying to take these different different guests into your hotel, feed them and put them in their own hotel room. You're going to get combos and lots of different kind of powers and stuff. It really is a Euro game for, I think anybody can enjoy this one. It's very streamlined, tremendous fun, but it has a lot of depth in it as well. The dice drafting mechanism is very clever as you roll the dice and all those dice are allocated to different actions and that dictates the power of those actions. A great game, Grand Austria Hotel. My 2016 family game of the year is Tifa Taschen. This is a kind of a very social game, a negotiation style game where you take the role of corrupt politicians. It's a simultaneous card play game where you are trying to make as much money as possible, because every round there's going to be a president and he's going to divide a bunch of money up however he sees fit, and everybody is going to vote on how he thinks that kind of split has gone. They can either agree with the president or disagree with the president, or try to vote him out of power, or bribe each other and stuff like that. But it's a great fun game, and I would recommend this one to anybody. T for Taschen. My 2016 strategy game of the year is Lorenzo Il Magnifico. Now this is another worker placement style game, but what this game really sings at is its engine building, as you're building up this tableau of cards and activating the whole tableau with different dice. And then kind of the higher the dice you play, the more rewards you get in return, but you can get huge bonuses by triggering your engine. The tension for the worker placement spots is really there, and loads of things to focus on, loads of ways to score points, and it is one of my favourite games of all time, Lorenzo Il Magnifico. For 2017, my family weight game of the year is Fugitive. Fugitive is another two-player only game, but this one is a deduction style game, as one player is I guess someone, a thief or something, or someone who's just robbed the bank, and the other player is the marshal who's trying to catch them. And you are basically playing these different locations if you are the the robber, and you're trying to work out what those locations are if you are the marshal. And if you catch up with them by locating all the different cards, then you're going to win if you're the marshal. But if they don't, you're going to get away and win as the fugitive. So a really streamlined deduction game that works perfectly well with two players. It's just great fun, and it plays in a great amount of time. Fugitive. My 2017 strategy game of the year is my second one by Stefan Feld with Merlin. Now Merlin got a bit of mixed reception because it's got maybe a bit more luck in it to the average kind of Euro. It's actually a roll and move game, as you're going to roll these dice and move or kind of allocate them one by one to move around a rondel to activate different actions. But I just really like this game. It has a lot going on in it, such as area control and kind of, you're trying to fight off these different marauders and stuff that are attacking your castles. It looks lovely, and it's just a nice breezy Euro style game, but with enough going on it to sink your teeth into, and I personally really enjoyed it. That is Merlin. 2018, my family weight game of the year is Blue Lagoon. Now this is it's a very abstract game actually, where you're playing these different tokens one by one to do lots of different things, such as claim different islands or have the majority of those islands, collect different goods for set collection bonuses, and stuff like that. I love the way it just plays and flows. You can be pretty nasty in this game and block people out of different regions. It's just great fun, it plays in a great amount of time, lots of things to think about, great tension in it, and just another great solid game by Dr. Rainer Knizia. My 2018 strategy game of the year is Coimbra. Now Coimbra is a game that probably hasn't received as much buzz as I kind of thought it would have. It's a really well designed game. It's a dice drafting game, as you are picking up these dice and allocating them to different spots on the board, and to buy cards. You're traveling around this different map to try and get different bonuses and stuff. But the dice drafting in this game is tremendous, because not only is the pip value of those dice important, but the color of the dice is important as well, because that's going to give you kind of different bonuses as well, such as going around the map or getting money or getting points. But the also cool thing is about the pip value is that the higher the pips are, means that you're probably going to get first dibs on what you want, but you're going to have to pay more, because depending on the pip value is how much money or military points you're going to spend. A great game, has a great degree of engine building in it as well, and it looks beautiful. That is Coimbra, my 2018 strategy game of the year. For 2019, my family weight game of the year is Awkward Guests. Now this is another deduction game, but this one is amazing as you're trying to solve this murder. It has this great card mechanism where you shuffle a bunch of cards, and that's going to determine the kind of outcome of the murder mystery. So the replayability of this game is absolutely out of this world. Has a great thematic ties to it as you're trying to work out who's giving who an alibi, which kind of direction they've gone and which weapon they've picked up. It really does take that deduction genre to the whole next level. That is Awkward Guests, an amazing game. And finally, my strategy game of the year for 2019 is Trismegistus. It's another dice drafting game, but this one is pretty heavy. Got a lot going into it, loads and loads of strategy. It's based on this kind of alchemist style feel, as you are trying to manipulate your board to make these different potions to get points. Another great degree of engine building into it. And again, the dice drafting is phenomenal, because on this one, not only is the color of the dice important, the symbol of the dice is important, but also the number of dice in that pool is important. So loads of things to think about. You can piggyback off other players' actions, just strategy galore in this one, loads of different approaches to take, charts to climb, and it's just a feast for the senses for if you're a Euro gamer and you like your deep strategy games. This one is out of this world. So yeah, a great decade for gaming. Again, all these games I'd happily play now. In fact, I would insist on playing them because they're that good. So yeah, loads to play, loads to explore. Hopefully there's something on this list that's a bit different to other people's lists. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. Check out my other videos too. Additionally, you can support me on Patreon and follow me on Instagram. I'll put the links below. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.